In hierdie week se AMT Graan en Lewendehawe Oorsig het ons 'n baie interessante gesprek met Terence gehad van Gavilon, South Africa oor Kunsmispryse en die beskikbaarheid van die kunsmis vir die komende seisoen. Dan is daar ook goeie nuus vir beesboere. Als hierdie week se episode, so moet dit nie misloop nie. Ek is Johnny van der Merwe en welkom by hierdie week se AMT Graan en Lewendehawe Oorsig. Volg ons op Facebook en YouTube waar ons elke week 'n vinnige oorsig gee oor die nuutste vleis- en graanpryse. Wanneer ons egter na die nuutste ekonomiese indikatore kyk, het die rand aansienlik verswak die afgelope week en verhandel op R16.35 per Amerikaanse dollar, meestal as gevolg van bekommernis oor Eskom en die effek wat hierdie kragonderbrekings natuurlik op ons ekonomiese groei gaan hê. Laer globale vraag plaas tans meer afwaartse druk op die oliepryse as die laer aanbod en het die nuutste Brent oliepryse gedaal na $111 per vat. Die swakker rand kan egter steeds hoër brandstofpryse beteken oor die korttermyn. Soos verwag het die nuutste nasionale gemiddelde speenkalfprys met 2% gestyg laasweek na R36.92 per kilogram met meeste streekspryse wat ook bietjie gestyg het. Dit lyk of ons nou weer in 'n stelselmatige opwaartse prystendens kan inbeweeg, soos aanbod ook stelselmatig minder word. Die Ottery slagprys daal na R60.09 terwyl die C-graadprys daal na R46.76 per kilogram. Die gemiddelde lewendige veilingsprys vir A-graad staan tans op R32.08 terwyl die C-graadprys op R24.45 per kilogram verhandel. Die nasionale gemiddelde stoorlandprys het wel nou begin weerstand kry en daal na R53.29 per kilogram met pryse in die noordelike produksieareas wat meestal gedaal het. Landpryse kan moontlik verder daal van hier af vorentoe. Die gemiddelde Ottery slagprys styg na R107.64 met die nuutste C-graadprys opwaarts na R78.06 per kilogram. Hoendervleispryse daal verder die afgelope week met die gevriesde prys op R30.89, die varsprys daal na R31.42 terwyl die IQF-prys styg na R29.97 per kilogram. Terwyl die IQF-prys styg na R29.97 per kilogram. Die swakker rand het invoerpariteitspryse ondersteun en ons kan dus weer ondersteuning in hierdie plaaslike pryse sien oor die korttermyn. Varkpryse bly baie sywaarts met hoër invoerpryse wat plaaslike pryse oor die korttermyn kan ondersteun. Die gemiddelde varkprys styg na R27.18, die spekvarkprys styg na R27.10 terwyl die vleisvarkprys daal na R27.80. Die nuutste worsvarkprys daal na R22.20 per kilogram. Vir nou is die verwagting dat pryse sywaarts kan beweeg. Bokpryse bly op sy hoë vlak weens goeie vraag met die grootbokprys op R45.65, die kleinbokprys op R72.78 terwyl bokoeipryse daal na R53.84 per kilogram. Daar was die plaaslike wolveilingsie, maar sien ons dat die Australiese wolprys met 3% daal op die laaste veiling van hulle seisoen. Baie hoë aanbod oor die volgende paar weke het kopers bietjie laat terugsit en dus het pryse sterk afwaarts verhandel op hulle veilings. Maak seker om ons varsbrood markoorsig ook beskikbaar op AMT se YouTube en Facebook kanale hierdie week nie mis te loop nie. Besoek ook gerus Nile.ag se aanlyn markplatform waar dit maklik en veilig maak om varsprodukte met verskeie produsente oor verskillende streke te verhandel. Kontak ook vir Andrew en sy kundige span by Halfway Toyota vir die beste diens en pryse landwyd. In die graanmark het die nuutste nabymaand witte geelmielies gedaal na R4.345 en R4.326 per ton onderskeidelik. Die Julie 23 wit en geelmieliepryse staan tans op R4.078 en R4.134 per ton onderskeidelik. Siebotpryse is tans geweldig onder druk met 431.000 aangeplante akkers wat deur die USDA bygevoeg is, wat tesame met laer uitvoervraag en gunstige weeromstandighede tans druk op pryse plaas. Daar is aan die ander kant voortgesette komplikasies in die Swartsee streek, Chinese vraag wat moontlik weer kan optel sodra hulle markte weer oopmaak, Noord- en Suid-Amerika se weersonsekerheid wat dalk voorlê en die swakker rand wat sterk afwaartse prysbewegings nou kan verhoed. Die nabymaand prys vir sojabone daal na R8.560 met die Mei 23 prys op R8.400 per ton. Die nabymaand sonneblomprys verhandel op R10.376 met die Mei 23 prys op R10.020 per ton. Die nabymaand prys vir koring daal na R7.558 terwyl die Desember prys daal na R7.000 per ton. Die plaaslike sorghum invoerpariteitsprys in Durban styg na R7.174, terwyl die Amerikaanse invoerpariteitsprys vir grondbone styg na R21.641 per ton. Die Amerikaanse afgeleide katoenprys styg na R12.663 per ton, terwyl topkwaliteit lucerne en Douglas steeds op R3.650 per ton bly, vervoer uitgesluit.
Soos beloof gesels ons met Terence vandag wat vir ons bietjie meer inligting gaan gee rakende kunsmis, ek dink die beskikbaarheid as ook die pryse wat nou belangrik is soos ons in die somerproduksie seisoen inbeweeg. Terence, welcome to this program and thank you very much for assisting and giving some comments on this industry.
It's a pleasure and thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Terence, I think let's just quickly start off. What's happening at the moment in terms of availability and prices, and where do you see it going as the season progresses?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of uncertainty in the market, in the world market per se. A lot depends on what's happening between Russia and Ukraine. It depends on how much product will come out of Russia. It's going to also depend a lot on China's attitude towards exports, whether they're going to free up and ease those restrictions slightly. So, those factors can make a huge impact overnight on what one's currently predicting. Everyone's sitting in a very, very precarious position in terms of how much stock should we carry. Nobody wants to be caught with a huge amount of stock and the prices drop suddenly. But at the same time, we all realize that there has to be stock available. The farmers need to plant. Life has to carry on. So at a certain point, as importers, you have to make a decision and you have to just start to bite the bullet and bring product in. So that's what we've seen. Low stock levels coming into the year, slight shortage, stocks now coming back into the market in South Africa. So at the moment there is supply, sufficient supply, but the risk is, what is the supply going to be like moving forward during the year on the global market, and how that will impact on our local market.
I think especially if farmers are looking to do their planning now for the coming season and going into specific prices. Will prices go down? Do they need to buy now or do they need to wait a bit? And I think the other issue is availability. If they wait a bit, will there be enough available in terms of the global stock levels that you mentioned?
A lot of farmers buy now on price for 3, 4, 5 months ahead. I don't know in this climate right now whether that's the right decision to do from a pricing perspective. I think from an availability perspective, that's the decision that I think is more important right now for a farmer to consider. And should the farmer decide that availability is more important for him, which it should be, he can fix it now. And if he makes that decision today, having got pricing from various sources and he's comfortable with the price today that he's paying, but he knows he's going to secure his availability moving forward, then that's the decision that must be taken, and he mustn't look back come November if the prices did drop and say, well, I've made a bad decision. The decision wasn't a bad one. He secured the stock, and that's the important thing, because at the end of the day, it's better to have the stock and pay 20,000 Rand a ton than the product be available at 10,000 Rand a ton in November and you can't get it. Then that price saving means absolutely nothing to the client.
But in terms of availability, how is it looking for the rest of the year from your side?
If we look at last year, the main driver was let's talk nitrogen. But before I do that, just quickly on the phosphates and the KCl and the potash, all indications are that supply on both those commodities will be tight throughout the year. So we can expect pricing to be firm as well. So availability could be there, but there could, or it couldn't be there. It's going to be a very fine line. But it's going to be firm and tight, and one needs to be vigilant and perhaps definitely look at securing, your needs, and from that angle fairly soon. But a strategy to use in terms of that is, if you are concerned about price, but availability as well to a degree, then maybe use more of a hedging strategy. For example, fix a third of your requirement now in July, get better direction in August, fix maybe another third, and then another third later on. And that way, depending on, especially from a pricing perspective, depending on how the market goes, you're either not going to do as badly or as good as what you would have if you hit it all right, if you ordered everything at one time. Then getting back to urea, which is obviously the main commodity that we utilize in South Africa, or globally actually. But last year, the main driver was the natural gas shortage in Europe. And that took the prices to the levels that you saw. If you take, at this stage, a lot of countries, there is sanctions on Russia. A lot of countries haven't imposed sanctions yet on fertilizer exports out of Russia. But let's assume you take 50% of that 7 million tons out of the market globally. And that now needs to be sourced through other supply areas, such as the Arab Gulf or whatever. It's going to put pressure, not only from a natural gas shortage perspective, but on the physical product itself. So if you look at those dynamics, technically, the price of urea should go up quite considerably, and one could be faced with shortages. But then, having said that, Nigeria's come on stream with huge capacity. Seems like most of that's going to Brazil. So maybe that might fill a bit of the void that might be created, from a Russian perspective. So definitely, I think number one priority for an end user, a farmer, or even organizations in the feed industry, for example, supply needs to be number one priority. Price needs to be number two. And hence, it's not a bad idea to start preparing for the planting season. It's actually just around the corner if you think about it. The other thing that one must do as a farmer, it's not good enough just to put your order in with the supplier now. The suppliers might have, the local importers, we might have vessels planned, but what if there's delays and other issues that come into play at port of loading, on the waters? At the moment in South Africa and Durban, we've seen huge delays in vessels being able to berth at the port. So vessels have been standing for days out at sea just to get offloaded. So there's a lot of issues that can actually prevent the order that's been placed by the client from actually arriving on the farm. So what needs to be the other focus is not only secure the product, but make sure it's on farm, in your possession, in your shed, to avoid disappointment. Sure, it's been a pleasure and nice to chat with you.
Thank you very much.
Hierdie video's word moontlik gemaak deur Standard Bank, Nile.ag en Halfway Toyota. Ek is Johnny van der Merwe en dankie dat jy ingeskakel het.